Welcome to the men's basketball pregame show. Spartans getting set to take on the Park Pirates here at home. I'm Kevin Schaefer, filling in for Harry Schrader. That is the assistant coach of the men's program, Jared Goodwin, filling in for Matt Brock. And Coach, before we touch on tonight's game, I want to touch on what happened last week. You guys took the Arkansas tour, went 1-1, barn burner against Lyon, 54-37, got the win there, and then a loss to CBC. What'd you like and what didn't you like?
Well, we played well against Lyon. You know, it's two completely different styles of play from Lyon to CBC. Lyon plays, very deliberate pace and a little bit slower than most teams play. But we played well that game, followed the game plan very well, and were able to come out with a win there. I think we guarded pretty well that game, and going into the CBC game, we knew we needed to guard as well. And, they're a tough team. They've been playing really well all year long. They're just a tough team to match up against, and probably didn't guard as well as we wanted to, but still had a chance in that game early on. We had the lead at halftime, even in the second half, kind of back and forth, and just ended up getting away from us late.
And against Lyon, I think it was Pablo Hernandez broke out for 20 points. And against Central Baptist, David Gabersek had 23. And so you guys have a lot of different weapons offensively. It seems like each game may be a different leading scorer. At least one of maybe 7 guys can lead the team in scoring. What are the pros and cons of having, such a balanced offense like that?
I think it's all pros. I mean, if you look at it, there's probably, I think, 6 guys that average double figures for us. So that's just a pretty balanced attack, and a lot of it depends on matchups and what guy has it going. But we do a good job of trying to get guys in a position that's going to help them be successful. So Pablo had a good game Thursday night. David had a good game Saturday. I think Chris played well on Saturday as well. So, I think it's only pros that you can count on 5 or 6 different guys each night to have a good game and kind of carry the load if somebody else isn't playing well that night.
Going back to the front court, talking about Pablo, you guys had a lot of injuries, at least were hurt kind of height-wise. And Pablo's been back, I think, 7 games. He's averaged a little over 12 points per game. How has he helped, and what has he brought to the offense since coming back?
Well, Pablo is just a natural scorer. He gets on the court and he has a mentality of wanting to score. And he can play inside, he can shoot it from outside, so he's definitely a dual threat in that. And David's kind of the same way, but both those guys at that position can kind of give you, if they got a bigger guy, they can kind of stretch him out. If they got a smaller guy, you can take advantage inside. So Pablo coming back has definitely added some depth in there, and a couple other guys coming back from injuries has helped out in the front court. So we're definitely glad that those guys are here, and Pablo's definitely given us a little bit of boost. Him and Andrew have both, once they've came back, they've given us a boost, and the team guards a little different now, and we just have some depth there that David's not having to play with more than 30 minutes a game, so that's good.
This week, you guys, the Spartans take on the top 2 teams in the conference. Columbia, number 5. Park, I think, is receiving votes, second in the conference right now. Season ago, you guys had 3 top 25 wins. This season, still kind of searching for one, searching for maybe a signature win over some of the top teams. What would a win over one of these 2 teams, Park or Columbia, do for this team going forward?
Well, I think it just shows what we're capable of first. I think first 2 times we played Columbia and Park, we kind of got off the slow starts and kind of got ourselves behind in those games, and really had to make big pushes in the second half. And we cut it to single digits both games, but just kind of ran out of gas, having to come back from such large deficits in those games. But a win against those teams means a lot, not just winning against a competitive team like they are that's highly ranked, but just, we're kind of in that pack of teams that are all kind of fighting for position, in that middle of the pack for conference standing. So we're, it means a lot. Every game, going forward counts, trying to get the best seed possible. That way we're not putting ourselves, in a disadvantage of having to travel, all over the place when it comes to conference tournament time.
Now let's touch more closely on Park coming to this game. 15-5, 12-4 in the conference. One of the top teams, have one of the conference's best players. What do you guys need to do to get the win? What do you need to do to stop them? And then what do they do well?
Well, they're a tough team. They play very aggressive. They got a lot of quick and athletic players on their team. So We just got to do a good job of, staying balanced and, on defensive end. Xavier Brown is, he's an All-American for a reason. He's been a really good player for 4 years, so he's a guy that you definitely don't want to let him get going because he can have a big game like he did last Saturday against Freed. I think he had 33 and 14 that game. So he's just a load, and, it's going to be multiple guys, guarding him on, throughout the game. But it's also going to be, the collaborative effort of us guarding them 5-on-5. They have very good players. So outside of Xavier Brown, B.J. Watson's a good player. They got several other guys that can, really score the ball. So it's going to come down to us guarding and trying to defend them and not let them get going because they can get going and play really well.
Don't want to touch too much on Senior Day, Columbia. That's on Saturday at 3 o'clock at home, but touch on it a little bit, just talk about the seniors. Kind of a cool story or storyline. 4 seniors, all really impact guys, all starters. Just talk a little bit about kind of the impact that these seniors have had at Missouri Baptist last 2 or 4 years in Chris Buzzell's case, and then how they've kind of helped the team both on the court and just off the court too in terms of the culture and things like that.
Well, I mean, you look at Will, Jared, and David, who all came in last year as transfers from their different schools. They came in and were guys that, had experience and were ready to come in and step in the court and contribute right away. So those guys have been just, key pieces for us on the court. Chris obviously has been here for 4 years. He's just been a consistent player. He's a guy that, he doesn't change from day to day. He is who he is, and he's just a great guy, and we're definitely fortunate to have him for 4 years. So all 4 of those guys are very important to our program. They're guys that we depend on a lot. So it'll definitely be, a nice celebration for those guys to honor them that day, that, we all appreciate what they've done and just the impact they've had in all different ways. So we got 6 games left with those guys plus the tournament. So we're definitely hope we can send these guys out on a high note, and would definitely be appreciative of everything they've done to the program and got it started, since last year when all those guys have came together. So
that'll do it for the pregame show. That's the assistant coach of the men's team, Jared Goodwin. I'm Kevin Schaefer. Spartans taking on a tough Park team coming up next. Kevin Paul will have the call for you on the Spartan Digital Network. We'll be right back with the opening tip.